Justin Baldoni is being sued again, this time by his insurance company. We're going to go through the whole document right now. It is against Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, Justin Baldoni, and of course, Wayfarer. We all know Justin Baldoni is being sued by Blake Lively, as well as his former publicist who owns the company Jones Works, Stephanie Jones. Now, his lawyers are working overtime with just that, but now they have more on their plate. His insurance company is now suing him as well. The insurer of It Ends With Us is Harco National Insurance Company. They filed a 27-page document today, and there are so many interesting facts in this. I'm going to go through the whole thing with you now. I will skip past some of the legal mumble jumble that none of us would understand anyway to keep it a bit shorter, but there are so many things we have to go over. Harco filed an action today seeking a declaration that their liability for this movie does not cover any of the claims asserted by Blake Lively against Wayfarer and others that are in the lawsuit. Basically, what they're saying is that their coverage was not in place when things started happening with Blake, and it should have been. They're also claiming that these guys didn't notify them of any situations or any complaints from Blake or anyone else until April of 2025. So what Harco did is they got their lawyer to look at Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer's complaint, and Blake Lively's complaint and compare the two. I think that's what makes this so interesting. We finally have someone who's compared them both and said, okay, Blake alleges this in her complaint, and Justin and his team admit to this or acknowledge this. So the first thing they get into is when Blake started making complaints. So they said she filed her complaint, her official complaint, December of 2024. However, it alleges that during April up until June of 2023, before these guys had any insurance, before the inception of the 2023 policy, Lively and others complained of sexual harassment during pre-production and production of the film. It further alleges that these guys all knew about it. And then it notes in here that in his lawsuit, they acknowledge and admit that Lively raised her complaints with Baldoni and Heath as early as May of 2023. This leads them to making the point that when these guys were signing on for their insurance, they have to sign paperwork stating if there has been any complaints or any issues at all that could possibly lead to an issue. They signed no. The document they signed in 2023 has in caps, it says this: it is agreed that if such knowledge or information exists, any claim arising therefrom is excluded from the proposed coverage. It talks a bit more about her complaints as well. It says that the Lively action as well as the Wayfarer defendants acknowledge that Lively's complaints were further reported in December 9th of 2023 in an email from Lively's lawyers, and then again when they had a meeting in January of 2024. It says this email and the meeting demanded that the Wayfarer defendants agree to enact specific changes on set to protect Lively. The November 2023 demand expressly reserved Lively's legal rights and remedies in connection with her complaints. Although the November 2023 demand was sent to Wayfarer during this period where they were having coverage, it was not reported to Harco within the time set forth in that policy. So again, null and void. In July of 2024, they again filled out a document, this time to renew the policy they'd already had, and they had to answer those same questions, answering if they had any issues that Harco needed to be made aware of, and they signed no. Again in caps, it says, Harco will not provide coverage for claims or incidences which the applicant is aware of prior to the inception date of any coverage that is offered and accepted. It noted again that these boys did not notify their insurance company of any issues until April 25th of 2025, when they gave Harco the first notice of the Lively action and demanded that Harco provide them with a defense. Harco, of course, responded saying, nope, we're not covering you, and this is why, and these guys disagreed. Now, Harco responded on June 20th of 2025. Then they get into the background of the situation. They have to list what exactly is going on in this case. And the first thing they start with is kind of listing all of the people involved. So they say the current operative Lively action, so her lawsuit, which is against Wayfarer as well as certain individuals and entities allegedly retained by the Wayfarer defendants to assist with public relations and crisis management in anticipation of Lively making public complaints against the Wayfarer defendants. It starts out talking about Lively's first complaint. She alleges that before commencement of on-set photography in May of 2023 and on-set during May through June of 2023, while Lively was employed by Wayfarer, she was sexually harassed by the Wayfarer defendants. The alleged harassment was primarily by Baldoni and Heath. So I'll pull these guys up. Here's Baldoni, here's Jamie Heath. So this is who she alleges the majority of it was taking place with. Both of whom controlled Lively's work, given Baldoni's position as co-chairman of Wayfarer, director of the film, and the co-lead in the film, and Heath's position as CEO of Wayfarer, and It Ends With Us movie, and due to his frequent presence on the set. It also notes that Baldoni, Heath, Sarowitz were all allegedly involved in this retaliation. Lively alleges that she complained about and reported the sexual harassment during April through June of 2023. These reports were ignored, which created a hostile work environment on the basis of her gender. Lively alleges that Heath orally acknowledged that an HR report had been made before even the first day of shooting. Baldoni acknowledged that comments that he made to Lively appeared to offend her. And in an email dated June 1st of 2023, Baldoni acknowledged an HR complaint by another female actor on the film. Then the strike happens in June of 2023 and all the cast have to step back and stop filming. November of 2023, the insurance company notes that this is when Blake Lively's lawyers contact Wayfarer's lawyers with what's been going on in the set. So they send a demand of things that Blake Lively needs to return to set, and they actually include a piece of this. It says, this is from Blake Lively's lawyers. It is no surprise to the film's producers that the experience of shooting the film has been deeply concerning on many levels. The complaints of our client and others have been repeatedly conveyed and well documented throughout pre-production and photography. The letter goes on to say that she will forego any formal HR process in favor of everyone signing this agreement and moving forward with these safety plans in place. Then they talk about the January 4th meeting in 2024, where everyone's in attendance and Lively presents 30 types of inappropriate and unwelcome conduct by Baldoni and Heath, which had occurred during the spring of 2023 in connection with the production of the film. It notes that both Blake and Justin's lawsuits both confirm that after filming stopped in February 2024, Lively's attitude towards Baldoni remained hostile, as Lively had stopped following Baldoni on social media and refused to appear at promotional events alongside him. Now here's where they start talking about the actual emails that were gotten from the subpoena. So they note in here that Blake Lively's lawsuit against them alleges that after filming in February, Baldoni and the Wayfarer defendants remained concerned that Lively would pursue her allegations regarding inappropriate conduct of Baldoni and Heath during shooting of the film. Examples of this and her concerns are seen in multiple communications prior to and up to the release of the film on August 9th, 2024. They note the emails that are between the Wayfarer defendants and Jennifer Abel, who is, of course, Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer's publicist. It says that they expressed their concern that Lively would pursue her allegations of on-set misconduct, and they therefore needed a plan to get ahead of such anticipated claims. And it gives examples. In June and July of 2024, communications between Abel, Heath, and Baldoni indicate that they were reviewing the list of protections to prepare to refute the allegations implicit therein. Also, on or around July 31st, 2024, following the recommendations of Abel, the Wayfarer defendants began retaining additional PR defendants to assist with using the internet and social media to promote stories critical of Lively and thereby undermine Lively's claims regarding the sexual harassment and other misconduct during production of the film. They note that because of this, Blake Lively files her CRD complaint on December 20th, stating that she was the victim of sexual harassment during production and of subsequent retaliation attempting to silence her from speaking out about the harassment and the resulting hostile environment. Now it notes here that the CRD complaint allegedly was delivered to Wayfarer, accompanied with a cease and desist letter. Then it gets into Wayfarer's side. So it says that Wayfarer, Heath, Baldoni, and others filed a complaint on January 16th, 2025 against Lively. And then on January 31st, 2025, they filed their amended complaint, which includes allegations acknowledging many of the incidences that Lively alleges occurred in connection with production of the film in April through June, although it alleges that these events are mischaracterized by Lively. So basically, he admits to doing things, as does Heath, but then they say that she just twisted things or perceived them incorrectly, and he excuses his behavior. And then they give examples of these apparent miscommunications that Baldoni's talking about. One example, April 25th, 2023, during pre-production, Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, screamed at Baldoni and accused him of fat-shaming Lively. So, as you know, Baldoni tried to say that that was just a miscommunication and he was only asking because he has a bad back. In May or June 2023, Baldoni recognized that comments he made to her regarding her looking sexy appeared to have offended her. And on several occasions, Baldoni discussed with Lively his personal sex life and his prior porn addiction. His lawsuit also acknowledged the receipt of the November 2023 demand and acknowledged the January 2024 meeting in which Lively presented additional accusations of sexual harassment on the set. It also notes that he quotes an email on December 27th, 2023, an email from Baldoni to the film production team, in which he notes and says that they need to handle intimacy scenes carefully, given Lively's accusations against him to date and the risk that this could and would very likely be used against him, as it already has. Harco then explains what they had written in their letter to Wayfarer and Justin's team, stating that they're not going to cover any of this. They sent this on June 20th of 2025, and they say that in the reply email, the Wayfarer defendants advised Harco that they will be responding shortly to this letter from June 20th, explaining why they believe Harco is wrong and should be withdrawn. They also apparently asked for some more details as to why they weren't going to be covered by insurance. And Harco says, despite this letter including a ton of information, they again sent them more information that they requested. And this letter was dated June 26. It says, Harco provided Wayfarer with a further explanation of additional terms, conditions, etc., based on the information currently available to them. Then they note, to date, Wayfarer has not provided Harco with an explanation of the basis for its asserted belief that Harco's position in its June 20th letter are wrong, nor has it even responded to Harco's June 26th letter. So they ghosted them. These guys decided not to even reply to their insurance company. Then it gets into a bunch of contractual stuff for the next however many pages that I won't go through. You can check it out on the website if you're interested. But then it gets into the cause of action section, stating that her letter, her email that she sent on November of 2023 is a demand, it's a claim for wrongful acts against them. And it goes on to say specifically that this demand, the letter from November, and the attached list of protections describe misconduct that Miss Lively asserts previously occurred and demands that this be dealt with, or it threatens that if there's no such relief, then Lively is going to pursue her claims in court. It also notes that this letter and the meeting they had, they're trying to, fix this and resolve the problem, but it notes that they didn't, she signed papers saying that this is not intended, nor should it be construed as a waiver, a release, or a relinquishing of any of her rights. So she still had the right to take him to court if she wanted. And then it notes also that they signed the waiver not to retaliate. It says, it also expressly prohibits retaliation against Lively for her reports and states that any retaliation for the matters raised by Lively will be met with immediate action. It starts to sum things up by saying things like this. Based on the allegations of the Lively lawsuit, the Wayfarer lawsuit, the Wayfarer defendants' answers to the Lively's action, and the November 2023 demands, there is ample evidence that prior to and no later than June 2023, the Wayfarer defendants had knowledge of information, facts, or circumstances which might give rise to a claim within the scope of the proposed 2023 liability coverage. They're basically saying, you guys knew what was going on, you signed these sheets saying that nothing was happening, and so we're not covering you. Okay, that was a lot. There is a lot of legal stuff in there that we skipped over, but again, if you want to read it, just go check out the lawsuit. But that's what we have. We have them now being sued by their insurance company because they didn't have insurance when they first started out. And when they got insurance, it was already too late. Blake and the rest of the cast had already come forward with accusations that they knew about So now the insurance is saying, tough, we're not paying for your legal fees. We're not covering any of it. It's going to be on you. The big question is, does this even matter? Does this man even care? He is a billionaire. This is Steve Sarowitz. He is the owner basically of Wayfarer along with Justin Baldoni. He is the money behind everything. So is he going to continue with this litigation? Are they going to settle? What's happening now? As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments on this one. This is huge. There was a lot going on in this. It's really hard to kind of break down, but it's so important that we shared the actual documents tonight. So let me know your comments and make sure you hit follow.